Hey, what's good? Thanks for clicking on another Pay Me No Mind video, some TV talk. I'm the host of the Pay Me No Mind podcast. Wood. It's a quick video on just checking in with people on where you are with season 2 of Starz Network's Counterpart. We're at episode 6. This week was Twin Cities, and we learned quite a bit for those of us that were maybe growing a little frustrated with who management was. I don't know where you were with it, thinking what your money was on. Did you think it was an alien or some aliens? Something from a different universe of some kind or something. Honestly, I don't know where it was going. But we got quite a few answers. So I'll get into some of the things that we learned this week and then maybe 3 talking points. But so we got some revelations as far as, like I just said, who management was. It was a group of scientists or leading authorities in different fields, like immunology was one of them. Human behavior or something was another one. And along with finding out who management was or is, we also learned what the Office of Interchange is. We saw the beginnings of what it is as well. So we also found out the creation of the two worlds, how it happened, and who caused it or how it was caused. We learned that. We learned a little bit of why Yannick was the extractor at the Echo site in the alternate world or the prime world, I guess. Although we don't know who he was reporting to there. We don't know who he was working for, but he was there. We get some background on that. We learned the purpose of the suitcases with the communication devices in it. And we learn more about Mira's motivations as a terrorist or just the head of the Indigo organization. Maybe we don't know what Indigo really means or what it is, but we at least understand that she's in charge of it and I'll get into more of what her motivations are for what she's doing. We also got a confirmation of the flu that was used to attack the Prime world. We didn't know if that was true or not. It had been denied by people from the Alpha world up until this point, but now we have a clear confirmation that it was an attack, and maybe even some theories on why. So let's get into the first one. Yannick. And how the two worlds came to be. So, again, they don't go too much into the science behind it. It's not really focusing on, some deep dive into something scientific that if you watch a lot of sci-fi stuff, a lot of it, they get to the full explanation of it at the end of the movie or show, and they never really can explain what it was. They just had this great or original, initial idea. But then it seems like when they try to bring it home, 99% of the movies or television series kind of fail when they go to explaining the why. So it's almost here with Counterpart. Maybe it's a very intelligent thing that they're doing, that they're not even spending a lot of time on what happened. I just heard something about, Yannick mentioned something about light, bending light or shifting light or something that he said. I can't really, I couldn't, I watched the episode twice and didn't zero in on that yet. But yeah, so he's doing something, and he went to the computer. We don't even know what that machine was, what it was doing. I don't know. Like I said, they don't spend a lot of time delving into what was going on and what this experiment was all about. But and honestly, when it starts, it was in East Berlin. The wall was still up. It's 1987 was the year. So, it just starts with those two, and then they go and bring in the other leading figures in their fields to get them involved with this. So it was a total of like 10 people, I think. 5 primes and alphas, and they start deciding, what they're gonna do with this revelation of these two alternate worlds. And so, one of the interesting things was first they all were wearing the same thing, and then I guess as I was thinking about this before I started recording it, maybe I guess they intentionally started doing stuff differently to make the universes different. Once Yannick Prime decided to, well, hell, that was Howard. I mean, that was Yannick Alpha. That's confusing now. See how confusing it is? Anyway, Prime did not give his daughter the gift, the music. Damn, I'm still confused now that I think about that. Anyway, Mira did not get the cassette from one of the fathers. And so maybe from that moment there is when things just, when the, they started doing things, they started dressing differently, to keep it simple. When you would see them interacting with one another, the two sets, the Prime and Alpha, started dressing differently towards the middle of the episode. So then the big thing here is, I don't know how to pronounce his name, Einer. I think it was Einer, the son in the Prime world gets killed for spreading around propaganda, anti-socialist or anti-socialism propaganda or something. So they came and visited the family, and he ended up getting killed, the son. So Yannick goes back to the office, and he starts, it's kind of where the conflict jumps off. And Yannick Prime is like, we can share things. So it's funny how all of a sudden they start having these different, it just starts splintering. Whereas they had been thinking all the same thoughts, but now and I guess you got to do this to move the story along. So if you overthink it, you can kind of ruin it for yourself. So I guess don't overthink it. But anyway, he says, and so then, the first season was dealing with Howard, so I keep wanting to say Howard. But Yannick Alpha, his life is miserable because of the loss of his son and living in the grief, and it's kind of overcome the household. So he's spending time over at, in the other world, spending time with Yannick Prime's family. That's correct. Yannick Alpha was spending time with Yannick Prime's family. I could have tried to take more notes. I still would be fumbling this stuff up because it's that difficult. But he goes over there and he starts, having this very passionate relationship, sex life with the wife, and all along, Yannick Prime has encouraged this and set this all in motion. And so, spoiler alert, things jump off, and these two confront each other as they've grown sick of biting their tongue about one another. And Yannick Prime has kind of got some different stuff going on. He's a little bit more conniving and calculating. And similar to the rat situation that Yannick Alpha witnessed with the rats killing each other, he ends up killing Yannick Prime. And I think that kind of is where these two worlds fully get triggered into different directions. So anyway, that's here, and then from that point on, the other management people who we come to find out, or understand to be management, they make the decision that that Yannick Alpha has to go over to the other world and stay over there. And from that point on, the management is disbanded. They take these suitcases with the communication devices in them, and they scatter out across the world. So that's kind of that. Took me long enough to get there. The second thing is the major reveal here is we kind of get Mira's the source of her agenda with carrying out this attack as the leader of Indigo and doing some damage to the Prime world. We thought it was as a response to this flu virus, which we saw earlier in the show that the Alpha Management Group with the immunology doctor and Yannick Alpha, they go, and hatch this idea to have this virus in case they ever need it. And it's boiling down to in case there's ever a struggle for resources. That's what his thinking is. We could have this competition and one of us has to survive, and we need to make sure that our world can survive. So they went and had these, these flu viruses engineered. But we thought Mira's motivation was payback for, what did they lose? A third of the population was that what it was? I thought it was a third. Sorry, that's a couple episodes ago now. But they lost a large portion of the other world. But now we're seeing that maybe Mira saw Yannick Alpha kill Yannick Prime. So, and she never accepted him at the Yannick Alpha as her father for her own reasons. And so now this might have all been triggered by, this family situation that happened that nobody really knew about. So I guess we'll continue to know more about or learn more about that as the season goes on. And if you see at the end of this, I don't know about you, but I thought she was going to kill Yannick Alpha like 2 or 3 times. It's a tension there between them two. So I didn't think he was going to make it to the end of the show. But now it looks like, and I'm talking about Cromwell. James Cromwell, I believe is his name. But yeah, so that's kind of the 2 major things, and I did not write the third thing down. But what was my last point? I guess it's just like, I think my last point was, it seems like now maybe if you overthink it, it's almost like some details from the first season and what was going on and the early parts of the, obviously they were bringing primes over here to live in certain roles as sleeper cells and whatnot. But now it's almost like some of this stuff isn't really adding up of how we got here. So like I said, don't overthink it. Because one thing, if you think about it, management all along has been talking about Mira. They've been communicating to some of the intermediaries about, we want Mira brought in. We need her brought in. And so they knew all of this stuff last season. So see, right there, I'm already saying too much. But if you start looking at it, like I said, you can overthink it and get the series all messed up. I probably sound like an insane person right now, even talking through some of this, because it's, if you like I said, if you think about it too long, maybe it doesn't make a lot of sense. But anyway, it's a very enjoyable series. The pacing now, like I said, now that we haven't been focusing on Howard Prime and Howard Alpha too much, and then for this episode to not even deal with, we didn't see the Office of Interchange at all, or Peter Quell, Claire, or the new cat Spencer that popped up. And then nothing, new with Emily or, the lady that they brought in from America to help figure out what was going on. We didn't see none of that this week. So obviously next week, if you saw the teaser for next week, it looks like the Indigo was with Spencer. Something is swinging into action. Obviously, Mira has tried to reach out to all of the management to bring them together to do something to them, probably, under the guise that she was turning herself and Yannick in. But another thing, like Yannick had this picture all along with the primes and the alpha, who management was down there at the dark site at Echo, and it was in plain view, damn near, but nobody ever knew anything about it. So, and now it looks like if you saw the teaser, Emily looks at the picture and put some things together. Very, know what she's talking about, but she did find that picture, and Howard Alpha connects a couple of dots for her of what Yannick was, or who he was, or what he was doing. So that's that, man. Like I said, that was my 3 points. Is kind of the genesis of how these two worlds came to be and how they splintered apart. Mira's agenda, the background on what her agenda might be twofold, and then kind of where you might be with understanding the timeline of Counterpart. I guess if I had any questions, if anybody wanted to talk about this down in the comment section, like how many seasons do you think this show could really go? To me, I don't know. It seems like 3 seasons might be decent. But I guess depending on where they leave it off, it could be 4 or 5. I don't know. But it just seems like 3 might be ideal. So, hey, thanks for pressing play. If you made it this far along, please hit that like button. If I didn't F this up too bad and what your grasp of the storyline is all about. But like I said, it is a fantastic show. It's very serious and pretty much well thought out. The pacing is a little awkward this season, but good show. And until next week, I'm out. Peace.